Unforgivable. The British Broadcasting Corporation, funded by you, under the ever-present threat of criminal prosecution, has been caught. Not just making a mistake. Not a simple error in judgment. They have been caught red-handed, committing an act of blatant, malicious, political warfare in broad daylight. And now, the entire rotten establishment, from the halls of Westminster to the chattering classes in their Islington townhouses, is circling the wagons to protect their prized propaganda arm. They're calling it an error. A mistake. A simple case of bad editing by an overworked junior. Do not be fooled for a single second. This was not a mistake. It was a state-sponsored hit job, meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed with your money. It was a dagger aimed at the heart of a democratic process, paid for by the very people it was designed to deceive. And the most devastating, the most urgent question of all is this: how much longer will we be forced to pay for our own humiliation? How much longer must we fund the architects of our own national decline? The mainstream media machine, the BBC's loyal foot soldiers and sister organisations, are now engaged in a desperate, frantic campaign of damage control. They know how damning this is. They're either burying the story on page 17, hoping you're too distracted by the cost of your food shop to notice, or they're twisting it into a pathetic, self-pitying narrative about poor, defenseless Auntie B being attacked by a foreign power. Attacked? Let us be clear about what happened, about the sheer, calculated malice of the act. The BBC, our national broadcaster, launched an unprovoked, deceitful, and premeditated assault on the eve of a presidential election in the world's leading democracy. They took two entirely separate clips of a speech by Donald Trump, filmed almost an hour apart in different contexts, and deliberately spliced them together to create a monstrous, unforgivable lie. The first clip showed him praising the heroic veterans in the audience. The second, filmed much later, showed him mocking the failures of his political opponents. The BBC's propagandists, with the surgical precision of a character assassin, cut the two together. They made it appear as if he was looking at those veterans and sneering. A complete fabrication designed for one purpose and one purpose only, to make him look like he was inciting violence, to paint him as unhinged, to poison the well of public opinion. This wasn't a blunder by some intern fumbling with editing software. This was a calculated, cynical, and deeply dishonest act of state-level propaganda, approved at multiple levels, signed off by senior producers, and then broadcast with pride to the entire world. It was a conscious, deliberate decision to deceive the public. To manipulate you. This was a deliberate attack not just on a single political figure, but on the very concept of truth itself. And they did it all on your dime. The secret motive isn't some grand conspiracy, it's plain to see. It's about control. It's about protecting their crumbling globalist consensus, their sacred project of open borders, net zero, and endless deference to international bodies like the WEF and the ECHR. They fear anyone who challenges their authority, anyone who speaks directly to the people without their permission slip. The BBC is no longer a news organisation. It is the media arm of the permanent establishment, and its prime directive is to crush dissent, manage your opinion, and ensure you never, ever vote the wrong way again. They see themselves not as reporters, but as guardians of a progressive faith, and they see you, the public, as a problem to be managed. This is the brutal reality of the two-tier system we now live under. A system of them and us, more divided than at any point in our history. On one side, there is you. The British taxpayer. The lorry driver from Doncaster, the fisherman from Grimsby, the family in Dudley struggling with bills that never seem to stop rising. Think of the 80-year-old widow in Hartlepool, who served tea during the Blitz, now receiving a threatening red letter demanding £159 for the privilege of being told her country is racist. Think of the small business owner in Bolton, crushed by taxes and regulations, who then has to watch his money be used to fund lavish BBC parties and seven-figure presenter salaries. The pensioner in a cold flat, forced to choose between putting the heating on and paying the license fee that funds the very people who sneer at their patriotism. You are forced, by law, to hand over your hard-earned money to a broadcaster that holds you and your values in utter contempt. A broadcaster that uses your cash to push a relentless, left-wing, woke agenda that is utterly alien to the common sense and decency of millions. You pay to be indoctrinated by people who think Britain is a uniquely wicked country. You pay to be lectured on your privilege by presenters earning 10 times your salary. You pay to be systematically lied to. And if you refuse? If you say no more? You face the courts, crippling fines, a criminal record, even the threat of prison. That is your reality. Then, on the other side, there is the protected elite. The unaccountable, self-satisfied, self-perpetuating bureaucracy at Broadcasting House. The legion of diversity officers, wellness coordinators, and agenda-driven producers, all feasting on a guaranteed, state-enforced income of nearly £4 billion a year. They are utterly insulated from the consequences of their actions. They can lie, they can smear, they can doctor evidence, they can defame, and what happens? Their friends in Parliament, like the ludicrous Ed Davey, stand up and defend them without a shred of shame. They call the BBC a light on the hill. A light? It's a festering swamp of institutional bias, groupthink, and breathtaking arrogance. They are a protected class, a media priesthood, immune to the rules that govern the rest of us. They can commit an act of journalistic fraud that would see any other organisation sued into oblivion, and they are defended as a national treasure. It's a sickening, infuriating, unforgivable hypocrisy. They take your money, use it to attack everything you believe in, and then have the gall to send threatening letters to your door demanding you keep paying for the privilege. This isn't public service broadcasting. This is a state-enforced protection racket with a new studio. And who stands as the chief defender of this corrupt and broken system? Who is the chief apologist for this grand deception? Our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Just listen to his weasel words, the carefully constructed emptiness he offers when confronted with this scandal. He talks of a strong and independent BBC. Independent of what? Independent of the truth? Independent of the British people who are forced to pay for it? He mumbles about upholding the highest standards in the same breath that he defends an organisation that has just been caught red-handed fabricating evidence for political ends. This is the same man who, as Director of Public Prosecutions, presided over a system that failed countless victims, yet he has no problem with that same system being used to criminalise pensioners who can't afford the licence fee. He is the ultimate establishment man, a figure hollowed out by a lifetime of political calculation. He is a coward in a tailored suit, terrified of offending the powerful media cartel that helped smooth his path to power. He will not stand up for the licence fee payer in Stoke. He will not demand real accountability for the veteran in Portsmouth. He will side with the liar, the propagandist, and the globalist elite every single time. Because the BBC is essential to his entire political project. It provides the constant, droning background noise of liberal consensus that allows his political class to operate without genuine scrutiny or challenge. His defence of the BBC is not just a political calculation, it is a profound act of betrayal against the very people he is supposed to serve. But while the cowards in Westminster hide behind their press officers, others are fighting back. The man they tried to destroy, Donald Trump, is now threatening to do the one thing this pampered elite truly fears, hit them in the wallet with a billion-dollar lawsuit. He is holding them to account in a way our own leaders refuse to. And here at home, figures like Nigel Farage and the entirety of Reform UK are being vindicated in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. For years, for decades, they have been the lone voices screaming from the wilderness, warning us that the BBC was not an impartial umpire but a biased, politically motivated organ of the state. They were smeared, ridiculed, and ostracised. They were called cranks, extremists, enemies of the BBC. Now, the truth is laid bare for all to see. They weren't attacking a broadcaster, they were exposing a conspiracy against the British public. They were right all along. They were the watchman on the wall, and now the enemy is at the gates. The battle lines are drawn. The masks are off. The polite fiction of an impartial national broadcaster is dead and buried, a casualty of its own arrogance and deceit. This is no longer a fringe debate about editorial standards or a simple mistake. This is a fundamental conflict over the future of information, truth, and democracy in our country. It is a choice between a state-funded propaganda machine that believes it has the divine right to lie to you, and the simple, powerful principle that truth must be absolute, especially when it comes from an institution we are all forced to fund through the threat of force. They have been caught. They have been exposed. And now they are hiding behind their political masters in Downing Street, praying that this all blows over. They believe you will forget. They believe you will be distracted. They believe you will meekly continue to pay. They believe they are, and always will be, untouchable. The time for polite requests is over. The time for pathetic, insincere apologies is irrelevant. This is a moment of decision for our nation, a crossroads from which there is no turning back. Do you stand with the taxpayer who is being robbed and deceived, or do you stand with the unaccountable, arrogant elite who believe they are above the law, above truth, and above you? This is a war for the soul of Britain, fought not with weapons, but with information. And right now, we are losing. Share this video. Share it with everyone you know. Let them know we see through the lies. Let them know the age of their deception is over. Comment below with one word, the only word that matters now: defund or defend. You decide.